You did not have to pay close attention this morning to understand that the theme of this morning's gospel lesson, the theme of the Old Testament lesson, is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is of real concern to our God. It has been a concern since man first started worshiping the Father. Hypocrisy. The difference between professing what one believes and living contrarily. The difference between stating out one's whole beliefs and living a life in direct conflict of what one has spoken, making a lie of everything that has come out of one's mouth. It is distressing to one's soul. It is distressing to the people of this world, because if they can't trust what you say, how can they trust anything that you say about God, about faith, about this kingdom, about the kingdom hereafter? 2,700 years ago, the prophet Micah was dealing with the issue of hypocrisy. God had raised up leaders for his chosen people. He had raised them up and asked them to take care of his people, to show them the way to God. He had blessed them well. He asked them to look after the widows and the orphans and the poor and the middle class, and what they did instead was live off the blessing. It was the proverbial, the rich get richer and the poor get children, and God wasn't pleased. And God sent Micah to say, this is not right. You proclaim who God is and you live differently, and this displeases God. And the consequences of that disdain will fall upon you and will fall upon all God's people. 750 years later, 7 centuries later, Jesus is having the same discussion with his disciples and followers. The rabbis, the Pharisees, and the Sadducees are proclaiming who God is out in the streets, but they're living very differently. They have been blessed. They have been blessed well. But they are taking the benefits and none of the responsibilities. And what they say and how they live are a huge disconnect. And Jesus is telling the people, do not follow the way they live their lives. Pay attention to their words. They are being hypocrites. 2,000 years later, we have hypocrites in the church today. We've talked before about one of the worst examples, Fred Phelps from Westboro Baptist Church in Topeka, Kansas. He and his followers go and say horrible, despicable things at a funeral of a young man, of Matthew Shepard. They go and they say despicable things at Camp Lejeune. They hate the U.S. Marine Corps. They hate Jews. They go to the Holocaust Museum and picket. They hate Islam. They go to mosques and picket. They hate the students of Ohio State. And let me tell you, if they don't like Buckeyes, Hokies are not far behind. They hate Roman Catholics and they hate Methodists. I mean, how does one hate Methodists? That's like saying you don't like turkey on white bread. It makes no sense. And every time Fred Phelps and Westboro Baptist Church go out and picket, there needs to be an Episcopal church doing Stop Hunger Now, inviting the community so that they see this is another face of Christianity. Every time Fred Phelps and Westboro Baptist Church picket, the Methodists need to be having a fish fry to raise money for their mission, to say this is another face of Christianity. Every time Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist Church picket, we need to have the Presbyterians out going canvassing door to door for loaves and fishes. This is another face of Christianity. That is a blatant form of hypocrisy. And it's devastating to souls And it is an obstacle and a stumbling block to would-be people in their journey to God. It is a blatant type of hypocrisy. But there is, brothers and sisters, a more subtle form of hypocrisy in our churches today among good and faithful people. And that hypocrisy is that we don't trust what we say we believe. We don't trust what we say we believe. A central guiding principle of Christianity is that God came into the world to save sinners. And by this, we are not talking about saving souls from eternal damnation. We are talking about saving people from sad, diminished lives on earth. Jesus came into the world to save people from their broken nature, from having fallen away for their best versions of themselves. Jesus came into the world to tell us there is hope and there is redemption. And as Christians, we say we believe this. We say that although bad things have happened to us, or we have made poor decisions, that we don't have to be stuck there. Yes? Yes. We say because Jesus tells us that although we are broken, we are not eternally or lifelong broken. There is hope and there's possibility for a new reality. This is why Jesus ate with sinners. This is why Jesus ate with tax collectors and with prostitutes, because he remembered. He knew them when they were precious at 3 and 7, and he knew they could be that way again. And in church, we say that's what we believe, but we don't trust it. And why I say that is, we come to church and we look at one another and we think everything is fine. Everything is fine with everyone else, but it's not fine for me. Everyone else has it right, and it's not fine for me. And we don't realize that 2 pews over, someone has someone in their family who is dealing with depression. We don't realize that 1 pew behind us, someone is really afraid their job is going to go away, and will they be able to pay their bills? We don't realize that somewhere in this sanctuary there's someone whose teenager has fallen in with the wrong folks or is involved in not the best extracurricular activities. It's our broken, vulnerable insides looking at other people's outsides. And we don't want to say. And we don't trust that the body can hear that and love us through that with the knowledge that it's true for all of us and we all can be redeemed. It's true for right now, but it's not true for always. There is hope. And Jesus promises we can be righted. And this is the place where we put it to the test. This is where we come and say, things are hard for me right now. You pray with me. And at the end of it, I know you know that I'm going to be stronger again. That this broken thing is not going to define me. That's what church is. That's why we're not the Rotary. And that's why we're not the Civitans. It's the church. You bring what's wrong and you trust people to love you through it. And the other part of that is we then have to love people through it. Right? We can all avoid being the hypocrites, the big blatant hypocrisy. The subtle hypocrisy we have to look at. We have to trust that church is what it says it's going to be, and then we have to be that place. Bring the hard things. Bring the joyful good things, and we will love each other through them both. We will pray and we will know that tomorrow joy comes in the morning the sun rises, and all will be well in the world. We keep praying till it's true for all of us.